Hey, I'm Steve Caton. I'm part of the leadership team at Generis, and I'm here this morning with our principals, Jim Sheppard and Brad Leeper. And we are super pumped to talk about some new things that are happening at Generis, but we want to do that in a way that it matters to you, because who cares about us? But it is actually things that are going to help us serve you, our clients, better. And it starts with our 30th anniversary, 30 years of helping churches and nonprofits and schools fulfill their God-sized vision and fund it. And you know, most organizations doing that for 30 years, that's a lot to celebrate. And a lot of people would be like, hey, I don't blame you guys for just kicking back and resting on your laurels and saying good job. And there'd be absolutely a lot of justification for doing that. However, at Generis, we are pushing the envelope and innovating and thinking of new things and new ways that we can step in and really serve our clients better. So tell us why. Like, what's motivating you, Jim, especially thinking about, coming from your perspective? Why not just kind of coast and relax and celebrate what God has done already? Why continue to push the envelope?
Coasting and cruise control has never been our methodology. We're just not good at that.
Yeah.
We've always been looking at how do we get better at what we do? How do we stay relevant? How do we acknowledge the changes that are happening and then just be better at that? And so I think what we've seen now is the cumulative effect of a lot of shifts that are going on culturally in America, but also in the church. As we look at, for example, we wrote an ebook, The Big Shift, on the changing patterns of faithful attenders, the generational transition that's happening as one group is aging out and another group is segueing in. And the need for us to be able to speak in a very powerful, effective way into those things, I think, is really just our desire right now, and to serve the church better from that. So yeah, we've just never been good at cruise control.
That's great.
We're better at pressing ahead.
Yeah, I know you well enough to know that's absolutely true. Anything to add to that, Brad?
One of the reasons that we've been around 30 years is that we thrive through innovation.
Yeah.
And we were constantly changing. As we listen to what's going on with our clients, there's a lot of pain point, curiosity. Hey, we need to make some shifts ourselves, and how can we do that? And we're fairly committed to coming alongside organizations to help them get to where they want to be. So it's a necessity to innovate and to constantly shift, and what we've done is an answer to that shift going on in the culture.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So in a real practical sense, Generis is still going to be all about generosity, but there's 3 new expressions that are now beginning to take shape underneath that Generis brand and the generosity work that we do. So let's just talk through those one at a time. Starting with church analytics, which is a super exciting thing, because here Generis is getting into the technology world a little bit, right? Which I love. But tell us why church analytics, and what motivated that?
Like going to an annual physical, you get a blood work, an x-ray, whatever it takes like that. Church analytics allows us to take a peek inside the reality of what's going on in organizations' giving patterns. We're able to ingest the giving data and then do an analysis of what is it and what does it mean, and then how can we help you change what that data would suggest. It's an amazing insight that many organizations, churches, schools, nonprofit ministries, they don't really understand, they don't really see. And now we get to really take that peek behind the curtain as to what's going on.
I think for me, Steve, I'm probably the chief passion engineer behind this project, being a numbers guy.
I love that.
Is I just have grown over the years very, very tired of hearing church leaders be able to articulate their profit and loss numbers, or when I say chapter and verse, right?
Yep.
And then not have any idea of what's really going on under the dashboard. The activity is under the dashboard. You can't just wave your hand in a church and change your revenue because you increase prices or whatever,
right,
like a commercial sector can.
Yeah.
It's the sum of all these individual decisions that get made by donors. And I think until you can see, to Brad's point, until you can get kind of the x-ray and see behind the top line numbers, you really have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. And so church analytics is designed to provide that for you.
I love that. So the next thing, let's talk about this new team that we call Effective Ministry. Effective Ministry team and the work that they do represents really the first time that Generis has ventured out of something that's directly generosity related. It's connected, but it's not necessarily a campaign or a generosity initiative. So talk about that.
So what we recognize, Steve, is even though generosity is our core, what Brad said earlier, is that there are these other conversations that, my word is peripheral. They're sitting right on the periphery of the generosity conversation. For example, our executive pastors. I mean, no one is more in the fray on making vision work and funding vision than the executive pastor.
Right.
And these executive pastors, to be able to speak into their life, to be able to speak into, for example, the pastoral leadership piece with, both, someone like Dave Travis, who comes from just kind of this perch of seeing into the future, and then some of our other lead pastor guys who've done it recently, who've grown churches from like day one to 6,000 and 8,000. Those are different kinds of, and then the family ministry piece. I mean, is there anything more important than next generation ministry in the life of a church? That's your growth engine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so many churches just assume that that's going to go well, but you take someone like, like Jessica on our team, who's been there, done that so effectively in coaching churches. It just gives them an ability to do it at a level they've never thought before. And it impacts the generosity conversation. Ultimately.
Absolutely.
It impacts that. So that was our interest in there, is just seeing that.
Okay, that's good. Anything to add to that, Brad?
We've been able to draw really top-tier talent to the effective ministry team. They're skilled craftspeople. They are excellent in their craft. Watching them come alongside a church or organization and make them so much better in those areas of discipline, their specialty areas, has been amazing. It also makes the church better, but it adds to the generosity conversation.
Yes.
So it creates a much healthier organization, which then leads to healthier giving.
Yeah, agreed. And I think the thing that stands out for me for our churches is that a culture of generosity requires so many aspects of that church to be operating in harmony and unity, right? And so many times we get pulled into that conversation. In the past, we've had to kind of step back and go, well, who do we know that can help? And now we can help with our team, our DNA, our unique wiring, and so I think that's super exciting and really beneficial for our clients. So let's talk about advancement. So we have this new team called the Total Advancement Solutions Team. It's actually a group of folks that have been with us for a while, doing great work with Christian schools and nonprofits, colleges and universities, but now we've created their own unique kind of identity so that they can be more recognized for the uniqueness that they bring to the table. So talk about that piece. Why separate that out and create their own unique identity for them?
Separating that out makes total sense. It's still generosity, but it's a different application of the principles between a church and a ministry organization or a K through 12 school and even higher Christian academic institutions with that. Even the feedback that we've gotten so far has been stellar.
Yes.
And we want to capture the momentum there and the expertise and the excellence of the feedback so far. Giving them their own identity is a logical next step. They're really good at what they do, and they need to have their own distinct message within that.
Well, that's great. That's a really good overview of everything, guys. And let me just say this, folks, that this is just scratching the surface of it. There's so much more information that we want to share with you, and it's coming out. So watch your inbox over the next 2 to 3 weeks, and you're going to see more details about these individual things that we've talked about. And most importantly, how does this help you fund your God-sized vision and do it in a way that's sustainable and healthy for the long run? So we're excited about it. We hope you are too. Again, stay tuned because we've got more coming. I'm Steve Caton. Thanks for joining us.